What is going on, Wolfpack Nation? Welcome to an exciting episode of Tuffy Talk here. And I'm telling you, this is an exciting one for sure. This has been a bucket list one for me, myself, as I'm a big fan of this man who is here with us. I know we actually had a couple of people commenting saying, when are you going to get this guy on the show? Well, here we go. We finally got him on, the one, the only Tobais PALMER, number 4, NC State wide receiver from 2010 to 2012. Tobais, thank you so much for coming on, brother.
Hey, thanks for having me, brother.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. So again, I mean, just being 100% honest, I mean, you've always been, one of my favorites, more just because I feel like that you're one of the better wide receivers we've had that doesn't get talked about, honestly. I mean, you were obviously at NC State for only a short amount of time. You came in 2010. You redshirted 2011 was a weird year because you obviously had TJ Graham you were going, with as well, which obviously, was the guy. And then you had your 1 year, 2012, and then you went on, to the NFL. So, you just didn't have a lot of time at State. I mean, what you did, I mean, your last year leading the ACC in all-purpose yards. I mean, because that's the other thing too, which is very unique, is that, most of the time, especially in today's day and age, most of the time your kick returner specifically usually is, a freshman speedster, sophomore speedster, whatever. But I mean, you were doing it all, kick returning and wide receiving as a, so I mean, you're doing it all. So I do got to ask, first thing, and then we'll kind of back it up a little bit. But was that by choice, or was that O'Brien saying this is the best option?
Honestly, I feel like without conversation, they pretty much just threw me in at receiver. I was bummed about it. It took me a
Well,
lot to adjust.
I'm talking more of the kick returning side, because I mean, again,
Kick returning, that
that's
was my
unique.
specialty. That was my specialty.
Okay,
Honestly, I did that in high school. I did it a lot. I never did punt return a day in my life.
okay,
But kick return was always my thing in high school,
yeah.
and I just took it, man, and I just ran with it, and I enjoyed it. I had fun, and now that they've kind of taken that away from the NFL, man, it kind of sucks because with guys getting hurt and everything like that, but it still takes the fun out of being able to return kicks.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Well, and the more too, because I mean, I think they were talking for a while about taking the kickoff out, period, in the NFL,
Correct.
which I'm like, but like even if 95% of the time there isn't return, I mean, like imagine a Super Bowl without a kickoff, like like what,
Right.
Devin Hester.
like what
There
is
you
that?
go.
You know what I mean? Devin Hester, exactly. Like, it's, and
Hmm.
also too, because it just kind of takes away, potential for players to make rosters, I mean, like,
Correct.
somebody like Zonovan Knight, Bam Knight, who, I mean, a lot of people said he could really go in, and if he doesn't necessarily do something a running back, which he is with the Jets,
Right.
he could be a great kick returner for the Jets. So,
Correct.
so I agree with you there. But want to kind of take a step back a little bit here. So being a North Carolina guy originally,
Hmm.
I wanted to kind of ask you a little bit because taking a look back at your bio a little bit, especially during recruiting time. So you
Hmm.
originally signed with NC State back in 2008. But
Yeah.
then ended up at Georgia Military College, and then didn't come to State in 2010. Can you guys kind of give a little bit of background about that? Like,
Um.
how did that work?
So for me, man, whenever I was in high school, I never applied myself like I did whenever I saw, okay, like when I finally got my first offer, I was like, oh man, I really got a chance to go to college and play ball and to be paid for. So like at that point, I was just doing enough just to really get out of high school. But
Been there, done that.
yeah, so whenever I saw I had an opportunity to go and be able to make more of myself, it was more like playing catch up, and it's very hard to get your GPA back up once it's already suffered, quite a bit. And so whenever my senior year came, I took the SAT 3 times. I took the ACT twice, and every time I missed all those tests by 1 point. So
Uh,
I took that detour route to Georgia Military. Believe it or not, at first, maybe the first couple of months I was there, I probably thought it was probably one of the worst decisions I ever made. But it turned out to be a good thing. It taught me, quite a bit with like time management, being more responsible for, your actions and everything, man. So it turned out a good thing, and I actually did some great things there, where I became All American my sophomore year before leaving out of Georgia Military.
Yeah.
Sometimes you don't appreciate what you have until you realize you have to work for it, right?
Exactly.
that's one of those things where it could have gone either way. You could have been like, nah, whatever, and then gone on a different path, and who knows where your life would have ended. But you were just like, you know what, this is what I want to do in life,
Right.
and that's a testament to your will and to your makeup or your inner makeup.
Hmm.
I was kind of the same way. Like I didn't take school seriously. Then eventually the light turns on for you, and I
Right.
think that's probably what happened for you. So
Right.
Yeah.
yeah, that's awesome stuff,
Yeah.
man.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
So tell me, definitely interesting scenario because because I want to make sure this is correct. So you actually signed with NC State in 2008, and but then
Correct.
you went to Georgia Military College for a
Hmm.
year and then went to state. So is that common? Because I don't think I've ever heard of that honestly,
Uh,
where you sign with a state, but then you don't make the academic level and then you can come
mhm.
back. That's definitely interesting for sure.
It's common for some guys. I mean, it's more of a second chance. Um,
Right.
but junior
Yeah.
college is more like used for people to go and get that second chance to get recruited again.
Right.
And you got some guys that go there like me that was already committed to someone. And so the whole
Yeah.
deal was if I go to Georgia Military, I can't talk to no other college. I can't talk to nobody else. I'm strictly NC State's property. So at that
Hmm.
point, I felt like, well, it kind of sucks because if Alabama comes in here and they want to talk to me, why not?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
they kind of had this little deal with the coaches and the NC State coaches at the time, like, hey, don't allow nobody else to talk to them. We want them here. So they
Yeah.
kind of kept me away when scouts came around or other coaches came around. They
Mm,
kept me away from 'em. So
I got you. So tell me a little bit about your recruitment actually too, because I am very curious. Because I've had some a couple of different friends of mine that have gotten
hmm
recruited by Tom O'Brien, and it's very different for sure. I mean, obviously, Tom O'Brien's
yes.
style of play. I mean, it's very old school military style.
hmm
Discipline, straightforward. Like I'm not going to fluff it for you. I'm just going to tell it to you like it is.
Right.
And also too, the years that you were coming, you were looking at state as well is really that was that transition year as well. So really moving into the Russell Wilson era, you were kind
Correct.
of figuring that out a little bit as well. So tell me a little bit about the first time you spoke with NC State, like and what was the recruitment like with Tom O'Brien?
Oh man. Well, believe it or not, Tom O'Brien wasn't even my recruiter. So
Really? Was it?
I committed to Chuck Amato.
Oh, sick, nice.
Yeah, so Chuck Amato was a guy that, man, he came to the school, my high school, and he offered me himself, and
That's awesome.
believe it or not, growing up like in Florida State, so this is
Hey,
another thing. So I grew up like in
nice.
Florida State, my whole childhood. Chuck Amato, his background is from Florida State. He's a Florida State guy.
Right.
Yep,
So um,
the only
before
school he would have
committing,
left us for. Yeah.
exactly. So
Yeah.
before committing to Chuck Amato, I was verbally, and it hadn't came out. I was already verbally committed to Florida State because I had committed to
Really?
Bobby Bowden. 2 days
Wow.
after I verbally committed and talked to Coach Bowden on the phone, I think it was like 2 or 3 days later, he had resigned as head coach. So at that point,
Mhm.
I didn't really want to play for no one else. So
Mm,
I committed to Chuck. We talked numerous times during the week. He always checked. He always asked me, "How's your grades? How's your grades? How's your grades?" And are you getting them up? And that was a big thing for me and him to build that relationship because he cared more about my schooling than
mhm.
me playing ball. And he knows I can play football. It was no doubt in his mind that I couldn't play. It was just more focused on the schoolwork at the time. And as going through that recruiting process, I've had other schools come in from like Miami to South Carolina. I think UNC, think UNC Butch Davis was the head coach at that time. He comes into school and he's trying to, offer
Yeah.
me. I looked at my head coach and I was like, "Can I go back to class?" He was like, "You just got an offer from Carolina, son." I said, "Can I go back to class?" So,
Oh,
um, it's
Good.
always
oh,
it's
that's
always
Yeah,
sick. I
been
I
love
love it.
that.
it's always been in my blood, man. To know I never rooted for Carolina, nothing. Be honest with you. Grew up a
Mm,
Duke fan in basketball. Just being honest. But never liked
okay.
Carolina. Never liked Carolina, man. And it was just instilled inside of me, man. To always go opposite way of them, and that's what I did. So, um, it was it
No
was it
kidding.
was pretty interesting. It was pretty interesting during the whole process of the recruiting. I
Yep.
mean, it's very hard on signing day, though. Don't get me wrong, man. I mean, you got a lot of thoughts going through your head, like, is it the right decision for me and my family? Is it the right decision for me? Um, so a lot of things went through my head that day, and after signing, I felt like, okay, I'm home. I still have family to come and support me, and NC State seemed like a good fit for me, so I chose
Yeah.
State. Yep.
Well, I'll tell you, obviously, recruiting is a lot different nowadays than it was then for sure, and I want to
Yes,
kind of, but before we kind of continue to your time of stay, I do want to go ahead since it's, already in the air, I really do want to get your thoughts. I mean, what are your thoughts right now on, the state of college football, with the transfer portal, with NIL. I mean,
yeah,
could you imagine being guaranteed from the moment you walk on NC State's campus,
man.
you're guaranteed $25,000 minimum in NIL deals a year?
So we had this talk last night, believe it or not.
Oh,
And I probably wouldn't have even went to the NFL, to be honest with you.
yeah.
If I had that money coming through college as with NIL deals, there's no telling how many I would have gotten. Um,
Yeah,
and just being honest, it's no telling how many I would have gotten, how much money I would have been paid over the time that I was at NC State, and if I would have thought about going to the league, maybe, maybe not. But
sure.
I feel like kids now, man, like they have it made. They really do. Like we would look forward to our refund checks that we would get, and which would be about, maybe 2 grand.
Oh, $2.75.
Yeah,
There you go.
yeah.
Not that much, but like for kids now,
Yeah.
like making big money.
So, I mean, would you say that you almost prefer the way it is now? Then, I mean, like when you say
Of
the guy made
course,
it,
of
really,
course,
yeah,
by all means, I love the way it is right now.
okay,
I mean, and the reason why I say that is because it keeps the guys going, and it's like I'm gonna explain how it was whenever I was there. For me, I
okay,
felt like they're selling our jerseys in stores with our number on the back.
hmm
The university is making money off of us, but what are we seeing from it besides, oh, you guys got a free education? What I'm like, in a way, how people say, well, you guys are given scholarships to play football and go to class, like you don't have to pay for anything. That is true, but at the same time, that's something that we earned. I feel like I don't think anything in life is given to you.
new,
You earn that.
yeah,
I've earned that scholarship, that right to wear that block S on my chest or on my
mhm,
helmet. So, um, don't take it for granted now. It is definitely a job. It's definitely a
mhm,
job because you have to still, when you're on scholarship, you still have to bust your butt day in and day out to make sure that you uphold the NC State, guidelines of keeping that scholarship.
mhm,
So, um, it wasn't easy. It wasn't
yep,
easy at all. So, I feel like we had it a little bit harder on us than just being a regular student at NC State.
no,
So, I would literally probably definitely prefer the way the guys, have it made now, for
sure,
sure.
oh for sure. Before we continue, I want to take a quick second to tell you about our sponsor, Flightlands Jessup Insurance Group, that has your whole world covered, with agents in 5 offices throughout eastern North Carolina to help you decide how much coverage you need. Offering policies for home and auto, recreational vehicles, commercial, crop, health, life, and employee benefits. They are able to combine options to find a comprehensive solution that works for you. Flightlands Jessup protects the things you love so you can spend less time worrying and more time enjoying them. Find them on Facebook and Instagram at Flightlands Jessup. You can also visit their webpage at www.flatlandsjessup.com. So please make sure to go and check them out.
For
So,
sure.
so, so tell me a little bit. Obviously, you come to state, you redshirt in 2010,
Hmm.
which is definitely an interesting year for sure for NC State. I mean,
Right.
definitely one that I still think about, like, man, woulda, shoulda, coulda. That was a great
Hmm.
defense, a great offense. Like Darrell Davis, Jarvis Williams, Owen Spencer, T.J. Graham.
Right.
Like that team should have won AC championship, no doubt
Yeah,
about
we
it.
should. Yeah, we definitely
Yeah,
should have.
should have for sure. But
Good old
I know,
Maryland.
good old who was the wide receiver from Maryland?
Torrey Smith.
Torrey Smith.
Yep,
Torrey
Torrey Smith.
Smith.
Yep.
Golly, that dude hung
We
300
couldn't
on
figure
us.
that out after his second or third
Man,
touchdown.
Yeah,
listen, Torrey Smith scorched us, man. By
he did.
himself. By
Oh yeah.
himself. And
Oh yeah.
yes.
No. Well, and I mean, and talk to me too. I mean, what was the feeling like in the locker room afterwards? Because I will say, because I'll give you a
Um,
heads up too, Tobias, and I'll kind of tell you a little bit of a story too here. But
okay,
I was my uncle drove the equipment truck for the football team, and so I was actually on the sidelines for that game, hanging
okay,
out with him. And a funny story is that Owen Spencer still holds it against me to this day, but Owen ran a corner route right towards me and literally threw it over his shoulder, didn't catch it, was falling into the sidelines, coming right at me. And of course, I was in eighth grade at the
yeah,
time, something like that. And so I literally just stepped to the side, and Owen goes over the bench, and I still remember Thunder like yelling at me, being like why didn't you stop him? I'm like, bro, like what are you talking
right.
about? And Owen still remembers that to this day. I joke you not,
Oh
he still
man,
remembers that to this day. But anyway, so I was on the
man,
sidelines, but I was not in that locker room. So tell me,
yeah,
what was it like, man? I mean, just oh, like
man.
it
I
was
mean, for
right
one,
there.
it was there for us for the taking, man. But it was a cold game for one.
It was freaking cold.
Let me
Oh
put
my
that out
god,
there.
it was cold.
Cold game, but it was just like, man, we're in the locker room and everybody's looking around like, does anybody have an answer for what do we need to do?
Yeah.
And I was very, how can I say this? I was blessed to be around a bunch of group of guys, man, that love the game. But I was also around. I felt like we had a coaching staff half knew what to do and want like what we should do, but it was like we were being very conservative when it came to play calling,
Oh yeah.
and that bothered me. That bothered me a whole lot. It still bothers me to this day.
What?
Um,
Something's never changed though,
yes,
Tobias.
you're right. You're right.
We're still pretty
Yeah. Well,
conservative.
because we got up
And
early in that game. We were up like 10-0, 14-0, something like
yes,
that
yep,
early.
yep. We was
So
up early. Then after that, man, we couldn't get anything going.
yeah.
So for that to happen, I felt like not only did we get outplayed, but we got outcoached. Um, and I just speak facts when it comes to that, man. I mean, we was a very conservative team. Um, I felt like we were limited as players. I mean, man, it's so much I can go on and on and on about. Trust me.
Yeah.
But we had no answers. We had no answers, man, and we thought we did. We go out, Torrey Smith, he scorched us,
Hmm.
and hats off to him. Great guy. Came across him a couple times when I was in the league, and great guy, man.
Yeah. Absolutely. So let's talk a little bit now, about, when you start finally playing. So, 2011, first game at home against Liberty, scorching 43, turning 21. But talk to me about, what was your reaction like, being, because like one of the things which I want to remind people at the time, which I kind of like, I love the Dave Dorn, the swag, surf,
Yeah.
to come out. But I gotta be honest and be like, I loved it when the guys were in the tunnel and then they started the smoke and it filled the smoke and then the guys ran
hmm
out and patted the wolf on the way. Like,
hmm
ooh, that was sick. So I mean, talk to me about that experience the first time running out of the tunnel, man.
Oh man, first time running out, man, it was definitely an experience I never forget. Um,
Nice.
and it was good, man. Just really finally running out, and I'm like, I'm here.
Hmm.
This is what I worked for. This is why I went through all the days of Georgia military, going through the days that I wanted to give up, but I'm here.
Hmm.
And so that right there is already a hurdle that I overcame,
Yeah.
just to get out of there. Because I mean, most guys, man, you go have to take that detour route, they give up. They give up on their dream. But I knew I had bigger things I wanted to accomplish. So,
Hmm.
man, running out, hearing 60,000 plus. Well, is it 60,000 plus now, or
It's
58.
58, but
50?
we'll call
Let's
it
say
60.
60, right?
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
um, just seeing all these people, man. Now it's just okay, just taking in the moment, enjoying it. And then now at this point, whenever my number is called, just being able to go in and have tunnel vision and block everything out. And
Yeah.
I enjoyed it, man. I really do. Still miss it. I really
Yeah.
do. I felt like the smoke compared to the way they do the little swag surf thing that you was mentioning, it's a little different. It's a little
Yeah.
different. It's a different feeling. So
Yeah.
definitely.
Yeah. No, absolutely. So, and tell me too, Tobias, I want to kind of talk about this before we wrap up this first part, but one of the biggest things, which I had conversations multiple times with multiple
Mhm.
people, including one guy being Smoke that I know
That's my guy.
Wayne Hubert, assistant equipment manager at State, still there. I still remember talking to him and talking to him about that year, and he swears that, man, if we would have had Russell Wilson that year, we would have won the ACC that year. And I was like, oh, I mean,
Mm-hmm. All
I'm
right.
like,
Don't go stir in the
no,
pot,
I'm
Lane.
not.
Don't go stir
Oh
in the pot.
I'm
man,
not, man.
hey,
But again, to me, again, I felt like that. We lost a lot of pieces that year. Obviously, losing,
mm,
Nate Irving was a big one. I mean, that was the centerpiece of
right,
your defense for sure. And then losing three wide receivers, Darrell Davis, Owen Spencer, and Jarvis Williams, all gone.
right.
Lost a couple offensive pieces, a couple defensive pieces for sure. But, you know, uh, and two, Mike Glennon, he had a heck of a year that year too.
Hmm.
So it's to me, I don't, I don't know how much of a difference, it would have really made, in my eyes. But again, don't necessarily need to comment too much, specifically. But I just wanted to kind of get your thoughts, when you heard the
My
news, Russell was
thoughts.
moving on,
I was disappointed. I'm not gonna lie.
okay,
And it's just being honest, man. I was disappointed because I was looking forward to building more chemistry with Russell.
yeah,
Um, we had built some chemistry within bowl practice. And Russell, I remember Russell coming up to me and talking to me. He's like, "Man, look, next year we're gonna kill it. We're gonna be on. We're gonna be doing what we're
yeah,
supposed to do. We're gonna make this thing right."
mm-hmm.
Then we got the news.
Was that was the Papa John's bowl,
That
right?
was the Sports Bowl, the Champ Sports Bowl that we playing
Oh,
in
champs,
Bowl
champs.
Orlando.
Okay, yeah,
in
yep,
Orlando.
yep.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, got
Um,
it.
Yeah,
got the news, man. I mean, love Mike G to death. Might love him. Mike G is a great guy, great quarterback, great player.
yeah,
But they are different players. They're different style quarterbacks.
completely
Um,
different.
yeah. So within the
Mm-hmm.
game now, you got to have some type of threat with your feet. If you don't have a big old line that's going to block for you, that rarely gives up sacks, you got to run. You got to make plays
Mm-hmm.
with your feet, and that was the difference. That was the bigger difference. You know, Mike G, big arm, can sling it. But when it
Mm-hmm.
was time, when we played Florida State, when they blitzing, can he get out of those those blitzes? Can he make some plays with his feet? He
Yeah,
couldn't, you
yeah,
know, and that was the difference between him and Russell, man. Russell made plays, and man, it was a different spark when you're on the field with Russ. He's scrambling, and you see him maneuvering out of the pocket, and all he does
mm-hmm.
is give you that hand signal to either go deep or keep coming back. And man, it was just having that little bit of time with him at bowl practices, man. It was
Mm-hmm.
definitely fulfilling. I enjoyed it, and I never
Mm-hmm.
forget that. And you know, wish I could have definitely played with him for sure.
Yeah. No. Well, hey, I do kind of ask you as well. I mean, are you shocked at all with what's going on with Russell right now in the NFL, man? I mean, I think all of us NC State are like, holy crap, who is this guy?
In,
Like,
in, in a way,
Mr. West Side.
yes. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. In a way, yes. I am shocked because I think Russ now he's having to adjust to a different team. I mean, this is
Yeah.
his second team, his second team that he's been with, and now he's trying to adjust to them. They're trying to adjust to him, and who's to say that it was going to be a great year?
Yeah.
Sometimes you need years or you need game like a year like this to really come together as a group
True.
and figure it out.
Yeah.
When he went to Seattle, you think about it. They didn't win it the first year.
No.
They made a run.
Mhm.
Second year, I believe they made it to the Super Bowl. I'm assuming.
And then
Yeah,
I
yeah,
want
they
to
I think yeah, they did because they went back to
went
back
back to
Super
back Super
Bowls.
Bowls, which they should have been back to back Super Bowl champions. But um, you know,
That's another podcast.
yeah. Yeah.
but
Yeah.
yeah. I'm not shocked, man, and I know Russ will bounce back. I know, man, he's a big guy and he's a big religious guy, man. He has a big faith, man. He really does. And I mean, believe it or not, man, Russ has a big heart, and he always wants to see other people, do great and succeed and be successful.
Yeah.
And as much as he puts on himself, man, I'm sure he puts the same pressure on the guys that he's playing out there with. So
Yeah.
I wouldn't be shocked, man. I'm shocked in a way that how he's playing, but at the same time, I feel like he's gonna bounce back and he's gonna be all right.
Love it.
And the last thing before we wrap it up, I mean, you look at Mike G, like you call him, right? I
Hmm.
like that, Mike G. But he's played in like so many different systems, right? So
Correct.
it's really hard as a quarterback to master. And they say it takes 2 or 3 years to master a system, right?
Definitely
And so if
does.
you're constantly doing new systems, it makes it really hard. There's lots of quarterbacks out there. The one that I think of, he played for Washington. He went to Auburn. I can't. Jason.
Went to Washington,
Darn it.
played for Auburn. Oh, went to Auburn.
Yeah. He had like 5 different coordinators in 5 years.
Wow.
Um,
I'm trying
he
to
was
think.
he was a really good quarterback. I cannot think of his name. But the point of the story was you have to have that
You
rhythm, right?
do.
You have to, there's, Peyton Manning threw to Marvin Harrison 1,000 times, Jerry Rice to,
Joe Montana.
Montana, Jerry Rice. They get that
Hmm.
rhythm and they just learn each other. And so, to your point, it's going to take some time for Russ to get used to his receivers.
Correct.
Plus, he lost 2 or 3 receivers.
Correct.
He lost guys that he was counting on and running backs, and
Mm-hmm.
there was a lot put on his
Right.
shoulders. And of course, then the coach gets fired,
Mm-hmm.
and it's just you chalk it up
Hmm.
and you move on and get it done
And I
next
felt
year.
like he looked a little bit uncomfortable in the system. It's a different system for him.
Definitely.
Like you said, he's having to adjust and figure out, okay, figure out his guys. Once he
Mm-hmm.
does that, then I mean, it's going to turn around.
Yeah. No, I mean
Definitely will.
definitely going from, borderline MVP candidate early last year to, being
Hmm.
last place in the NFL in points per game. I mean, whew, that's definitely a kick for sure. So,
Yeah,
but yeah,
for
no,
sure.
definitely still have all the faith for sure. No doubt about it.
Oh
So,
yeah.
so with that being said, Wolfpack Nation, we're going to take a pause right there. And again, we'll continue our interview with Tobias here in part 2. So make sure, if you haven't already, again, to make sure you don't miss out whenever we release part 2, make sure all you have to do is hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell so you're notified on all your devices whenever we go live with any Tuffy Talk content. And also, too, if you enjoyed this video, make sure to hit that like button if you don't mind. And also to give us a follow, Tuffy Talk Now, Twitter, Instagram. Tobias, I want to give you an opportunity, man. Anything, you want to plug in here, man, any way that State fans can support you or find you?
Well, I can be found on Instagram at T10 Palmer or T4 Palmer. So I got 2 different ones.
Okay.
And I'm still on Twitter at TP_for Heisman. So if you guys
Mm-hmm.
want to follow me, follow me.
Yep.
And hopefully, man, we can I can get myself back out there at NC State. Hopefully, they allow me to coach over there.
Oh, we're
Okay.
definitely talking about that part 2, baby. All right. With that being said, we'll see y'all for
I
part
like
2,
it.
baby. Go Pack.